What's going on, everybody? Jorge Aquino coming to you live and direct. It's Tormenting Tarmac podcast where the enthusiast never dies. You find us recording here on MLK Day. Shout out to MLK, the GOAT. And it's also Barrett Jackson week going on here in Phoenix, and you love to see it. But I have a very, very wonderful, wonderful guest that I'm looking forward to chatting with. You guys might be familiar with him because of all the YouTube content that he does and all the racing and everything like that. But ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Iwuji is joining me right here on Tormenting Tarmac. Jesse, what's going on? How are you, sir?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Dude, it is my pleasure. I have become a really big fan of your work over the past few years. Um, I remember, I think when I started to go ahead and see what you were doing and everything that you were up to is probably somewhere around like 2021, right around there's when I saw it, and I know you've been doing stuff even beforehand. And
Yeah.
then the moment that I clicked with you is I remember you being on an episode of The Smoking Tire with Matt Farah and Zach Clapman, and from there on out,
Yeah.
I was like, I rock with that guy. And I've seen you just do your stuff and everything, and you're all over the place. You're doing so many cool things. I don't even know where I really want to get started, but I guess let's kind of like go a little bit back just to kind of get to know you a little bit and whatnot. So
Yeah.
you're doing you're doing NASCAR. You've been drifting before that. By the way, first of all, allow me to go ahead and say thank you for your service. I do
Yeah. Thank you.
appreciate that. Are you still serving right now to this day?
Yeah. I'm not active duty anymore. I'm now in the reserves. So I
Okay.
was active duty from 2010 to 2017. Been in the reserves from 2017 through now.
Okay, I got you, man. I love it. It was the Navy, correct?
Navy. Yep. Uh-huh.
Oh man, my sister was in the army. She just got out in 2022. She was an army nurse over at Fort Lewis in Seattle. So much respect, and I appreciate your service. Um, where did it all start for you, my man? Because like for you to be doing all the stuff that you were doing while serving and whatnot, or maybe just getting ready to go ahead and end, was it just like you had time on your hands and finally were able to go ahead and get into something that you'd be dreaming of, or was this like just a out of the blue kind of a thing?
So for me, I've always had like a passion for cars and racing ever since I was, growing up as a little kid. And I didn't really have the means to do it when I was a little kid. So once I finally got to a point where I could, that's when I really started pursuing it pretty hard, right? So, kind of, I guess, backtracking a little bit. Originally, I'm from Dallas, Texas. I grew up there my whole life. Football was like my big thing when I was in high school. So I played football in high school, and I had this big goal and dream to go off to college and play college football as well. So the first opportunity I got, where the first offer for me, I would say the first big offer to go play college sports was from the Naval Academy. And for me, I just looked at it as a great opportunity to go to a great school, play football for a great school, graduate it, and become an officer in the United States Navy. And also, too, playing football for that school was, awesome because they're a winning team. So
Very
it
much
just
so.
it was a win in all different kind of ways. So I took that opportunity, went to Naval Academy, got there 2006, played until 2010, graduated, and then became an officer in the Navy. My first duty station was down in San Diego. So California was where I was going to be stationed at for at least 4 years of my Navy career. So
Yeah.
once I got to California, obviously, the car culture in California is pretty big. It's big in a lot of places too, but like California is huge, especially
Mhm.
SoCal. So just getting into SoCal, me obviously being a car guy, naturally, I always like cars, and me finally having money to buy a car. I bought a Dodge Challenger SRT8. This is back in 2010, so they were like brand new on the streets.
They were
Kind
hot
of
too.
yeah, yeah, the newest things. I didn't want to get like an RT or a V6 Challenger. I thought that one like the SRT8. Like I wanted the best, the whatever, because at
Yeah.
that time we didn't have Hellcats, right? So I
Hmm.
got that. Immediately started modifying it. I think I actually when I bought the car, and I think I bought it on a Monday. I took it to a drag strip that Friday.
Ah.
Yeah, so like that quick. So I wasn't
Yeah,
messing
man.
around. And then just from there, you always want to go faster. So, one thing led to another. Obviously you do the basics, exhaust, cold air intake. Then
Yeah.
that leads to a super, or it's not even supercharger. Big old cam thing was loping like crazy, and then from there that led to a supercharger. Supercharger led to bigger supercharger and built motor, and then so on. Basically, I went from having a stock car in 2000, summer of 2010, to 2.5 years later having like a 800 plus horsepower car.
Nice, dude. So you
So
basically
yeah,
you created Hellcat and Red Eye before Dodge even got a chance to go ahead and put it out there to
we
the
did.
people. I love that.
We really really did. I tell people that like that's what we did because
Yeah.
we all knew the potential of the car, and obviously we knew it's a big car. It needs more power so it can keep up with the Corvettes and all the other stuff. So that's
Right.
what we did. We were like, man, why doesn't Dodge come out with it? Because the GT 500s, like that's what we would look at. We look at the GT 500,
Mm-hmm.
like they're supercharged, they're fast. Like why doesn't Dodge have that? So we're like,
Yeah.
okay, if
ZL1
Dodge
came
doesn't
out like 2 years later too.
ZL1. So in that, 2011, 12, 13 kind of time for ZL1, I believe came out in 12, if I'm not mistaken. But like, yeah, the ZL1, the GT500, they've been supercharged since I don't even know when.
Yeah.
But all these cars, they're coming out. All these other manufacturers have a supercharged muscle car, and Dodge didn't. So we're like, okay, we're going to create our own version of it. But like, I remember in my mind just constantly wishing, like, gosh, I wish like Dodge would just come out with something that was supercharged. And then like it's funny because when I finally got away from the Mopar game and I started focusing on like NASCAR stuff, that's when the Hellcat came out. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hear you, bro.
More reliable too than what we
No,
were
I
building.
know. I worked at a Dodge dealership like in like the winter slash spring of 2013. And
Yeah.
like, all we had is Challenger RTs, Charger RTs, and then this was SRT before
Yeah.
Scat Pack and everything like
Hmm.
that. And it went from
Hmm.
the 6.1 to the 6.4. And this was
6.4.
during
Yeah.
the time that we were hearing the rumblings of Hellcats coming. But it's
Yeah.
like when? Like I want to know
Hmm.
when. Sure enough,
Yeah.
came in 2015. We all geeked out and we are like, oh my God. And then the world
Yeah.
changed from that point on and
Oh
whatnot.
yeah.
I didn't realize that you were rocking so heavy with Mopar before you got into like heavy into Corvettes. Because it's fair to say that, like, from the time that I've been following you, Jesse,
Hmm.
Corvettes and fast Nissans have been your thing this entire time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
was the fast Corvette game for you? Was that a thing that you had a big love for even prior to you finally buying your first Challenger SRT, or was that something that you transitioned to later on?
So in 2008, when I was at the Naval Academy, no, no, sorry, it was 2009. 2009 at the Naval Academy. One of my roommates, his parents or his dad lived in North Carolina at that time, and he had this orange C6 Corvette, convertible, whatever. We went down to his dad's house for like there was like some long 3-day weekend. I had nothing to do that weekend. He's like, hey, dude, you want to go to North Carolina? So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll drive. So we drove all the way down there, like 4 hour drive. We like beamed down there on a Friday night. It's like such a last second decision, but that's college days, right? You just do last
Yeah,
second stuff. Literally, I think
absolutely.
it was like 6 p.m. And he's like, yo, dude, like I'm going down to my dad's house for the weekend in North Carolina. You want to come? I was like, sure. I'm like, how are we gonna get there? It's gonna drive. I'm like, okay, cool. So I just packed my stuff real quick, 30 minutes. We hopped in the car and just 4 hours, just boom. Anyways, so we got down there, and I remember during that weekend we went. Like this is during my partying days, so we went
Yeah.
out and partied. We were having a good time, and then the next night, I saw the Corvette there. I'm like, man, this thing is sick. And his dad's like, yeah, y'all can take it out, tonight if y'all want to. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, what, 19? I don't know, 20 years old, and I get to drive a Corvette and go out in town. So for me, it was a pretty amazing experience. And like that day, I started falling in love with Corvettes. But like they were, this is a C6 back in 2008 or 9 or 2009. 2009, this is when this
So this is
happened.
LS3, not LS2 anymore, right?
This is if it depending on what year it was. I don't know what year his was, but during that year is when I think the LS3
That
did come out. Right
yeah.
before that was the LS2. But either way, it was still a pretty nice car, and it was
Mm-hmm.
fairly new. I mean, it couldn't have been older than a few years old
It's
max. You
400
know,
horsepower, whatever way you want to swing it. That's a lot, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, a
Exactly. And I was
lot
like 20
less.
years old. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like, so I jump in this thing, I drive it. I'm like, man, these things are cool. And I remember I told myself that week, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna have a vet. But
Yeah.
once again, they were way out of my price range at that time in my life. So going into after I graduated from college, the options that I had that were within my budget was Camaro SS, a Mustang GT, or SRT8 Challenger, like 1 year old, like used Challenger.
Right.
And they were all like I think they're all like basically kind of in that 35 to 40 grand range. So that was within my budget. So I picked the challenge. I actually was going to get the Camaro SS. I was about to. I made my decision. I was going to get the SS. And then right before I'm leaving the dealership, the guy's like, "Hey, we got this SRT8 Challenger here. If you want to try that too. I mean, I know you're interested in the Camaro, but if you want to just test that." I'm like, "Let me test it," because no other dealership at that time will let you test it because it was so new and the hottest thing. So I was like, "Wow, you're going to actually let me test this?" So I don't know how old I was, 22 or whatever. I jump in it, I test it, and for whatever reason, I was like, "This is it. Like, this is the
Mm-hmm.
car I need." And then from there, that's what led me there. But I still always in the back of my mind, one day I'm gonna get a Corvette. One day I'm gonna get a Corvette. Well, in 2013, after my Corvette, sorry, my Challenger was fully built, it was not the most daily friendly anymore. You have to just always watch this, watch that, E85, blah, 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 blah. Just all these little things you have to worry about for an 800 plus horsepower car. At one point, it was making 980 to the wheel. So
That's
I was like,
crazy, Jesse.
I need a sporty daily. And because I didn't want to get just some like daily commuter beat up car. Like I wanted something still sporty. I'm like, what am I going to do that's going to still meet all the needs I need in my life, but like also be like more friendly? And then for whatever reason, Corvette came up again, in my mind. I'm like, because I'm doing research, I'm like, and I'm looking at it, like, hold on a second, people don't talk about this. Like I look at the Z06s. I'm like, hold on, Z06, like one, you can get one for 36, 37 grand at that time. Like,
Right.
it was a '06, so it was like, 7 years old at the time, but still, you get it for 37 grand. It has 505 horsepower, 7 liter. The trunk can fit more than any trunk of any sports car in the world. The thing, if you put it in sixth gear and you cruise at 65, 70 miles per hour, you can go 400 miles in one
Mm-hmm.
tank. And it's only a
30
17
miles
gallon tank.
at a
Yeah,
gallon is
30 miles.
crazy.
Like, it's crazy. And like, no one talks about how daily friendly a C6 CO6 is, let alone if you want to go to a drag strip. I think the record right now, bone stock is a 10.7 or 10.8.
It's
And
fast.
then if you take it to a road course track, it'll compete with any car. Put a good tire on it,
Mm-hmm.
it'll compete with any car still today.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
like,
that was taking on 997 GT3s and handing it to him, bro.
and all day. Yeah, the 997s, 996s, even, I mean, shoot, like, once again, like I said, you throw on a good tire, let's get some air on it, front splitter, rear wing, coilovers, whatever, and it'll run with the 991, So
Mm-hmm.
like it's like I'm like, dude, this is the perfect car. So I bought that. And then after I bought that, I was like, oh my gosh, my love for Corvettes became more and more and more. Also, too, back then when I was a little bit crazier, like I was like on the streets with my Challenger one night and I was coming back from something, and a Z06 pulls up to me. His head scan Z06, as you could hear. And at that time, my Challenger had just got supercharged with like a
Mm.
Magnuson, so it wasn't a big blower yet. I was only making like 500 and something at that time, and I thought that was the fastest thing in the world. And this
Right.
Z06 pulls up to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this all day. He's not even supercharged. I am all good. I hit it, and this thing just gaps me for. I'd never see the car again in my life. That's it, gone. Never saw it again. Never again.
Bro, you know what's crazy about those C6 Z06s? I think people forget how light those cars were, bro, because like
3,100 pounds.
3,100
3,100
pounds is
pounds. Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ZR1s were like 33,
They,
34
they're
ish
like they're like maybe 100, 150 pounds more, mainly because of the supercharger,
supercharger.
and they had just some extra little stuff on them too as well. But
It was
yeah,
it was always a
bigger
little bit
wheels
more
too.
comfy. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
comfier. It was a tad bit more luxurious, even though it's
Yeah.
still very much track oriented. But
Yeah.
you got that fully spec'd, and you're like, yeah,
Mm,
no, I get the reason why this is going to be heavier. But
mm.
Z06s, it's just more raw. It was just
Raw,
always
it's
more
super
raw.
raw car. Yeah. I mean, it's an
Yeah,
aluminum
at least in
chassis.
C6 form. Yeah,
Yep, yep. Aluminum chassis, fiberglass body, entire body is fiberglass.
right.
They use magnesium for different things. I take like they just did everything they could to make it super light. And yeah, 3,100 and something
Yeah.
pounds, just the way it sits. Like even with those big steel, wheels or whatever on, and I don't want to steal. They probably were. I don't know what they were made of, but anyway, alloy probably whatever.
Right.
But you still 19s on the rear, 18s up front. Let's say you put 18s all the way around. Yeah.
Sick car. And especially, I think the later years of the Z06 in C6 form, couldn't you get like the more track oriented package? Like it was
Yeah,
almost
the
like you got
Z07, the Z07
yes,
package. Yeah, yeah,
Z07
yeah.
package. Though
So
that was cooking, bro.
Z07, it had the Michelin Pilot Sport, or not, sorry, Pilot Cup 2 tires or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the
The
craziest,
stickiest Michelin for the time is
yeah,
on
for
that
that time was
Z06.
on it.
Yeah.
And then it had carbon ceramic brakes. They had all this stuff on it. And
Did
that
it
car
have
went to the
mag ride
Nürburgring.
too?
I don't
Or
know.
was
They
that just the
might have
ZR1?
the
I think
ZR1.
this
ZR1 for sure had it. Maybe they put it on the Z07, but I'm not fully sure.
yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. But you could they took it to the Nürburgring. It ran a 7 minute 22, I think, if
Which
I'm
is
not
with a
mistaken,
6 speed, by the way. That wasn't automatic.
with
That
a
was
six
only
speed
in 6 speed. It was crazy.
in the early 2010s. Like that's when they did that then. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, that car was crazy. And like I said, you throw a little bit of aero on it, and it's going even quicker.
I know. There was who was it back in the day? It was like there was a company like in the early 2000s took a C6 Z06 and then bored and stroked out the 7 liter to like an 8 point like into like an 8 liter car. And I remember Matt Farah driving it like back in the early days of the smoking tire.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, y'all are nuts. Like you put an you bored that thing out to like 8 liters. It was like making 600 to the wheel or something like that. I was like, yo, that's
I,
filthy,
I,
bro.
I don't doubt it. And you don't, the funny thing is, you don't even have to do that. Like to make
You
600
don't.
to the wheels on a C6 Z06, heads, cam, E85, you got 600 wheel.
I
Boom, done.
know. Heck, you don't even need to do an E85. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
I'm right now. I have heads cam and a supercharger, but the supercharger I have it. Everything on my car is turned down on 91 octane. I'm still making 580 wheel. So like the least power you could probably make, like I'm making right now, because that's how I had my car set up, just as simple as possible. And it's still 582 wheel. If I turn it up, like I could easily be 600 plus E85. I could be 700 plus.
man, bro, you're cooking. You are so cooking.
And I have my LS7 still stock bottom end. It's
Hmm.
never been refreshed. The only thing I've refreshed is the heads. Every 100,000 miles I've refreshed it. I'm at 224,000 miles with my car and that LS7. Never touched the bottom end. That bottom end has never came out and pulled out pistons and this and that and nothing. It's the way it came from the factory in 2006. It's
Hmm.
been in that car since then, has never been touched. 224,000 miles, and I drift with it, and it still rips, and it can outrun so many cars.
Everything. And on top of that, and you know how I know that you're about this life. You got a C8 Z06 on top of that. Like, so you
Yeah.
bought
I
that
had a
what like
C7 Z06. I
you
had a
did
C7.
you
Yeah,
did
I sold the C7 Z06 recently because I basically overbuilt it and it became a very unusable car for me.
right.
Plus, at the time, I like needed extra cash for a lot of things I was doing. I just bought my R34 GTR and like space, cash, things, all this like at once. I'm like, do I really need the C7 Z06 right now?
Right.
I love the C8 Z06. I really love my C6 Z06, and I do love my C7 Z06. But now my C7 Z06 is making 1,008 to the wheels. It was now like just not
It's not
friendly
streetable.
anymore.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
That's
know,
an
so yeah,
aggressive car. It's an
very,
aggressive car,
very,
man.
very scariest car I've ever driven in my life. And I've driven NASCAR at 190 plus mile per hour. Scariest car I've ever driven was my C7 Z06 with 1,000 plus.
Dude, I can't go any further on this conversation without actually bringing up your transition into NASCAR because I do want to
Yeah,
talk to you about some Nissan stuff and I hope I have enough
yeah,
time, but I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
talk to you about that really quickly because that's where I was just like, hold on, dude, how the hell is this? And by the way, shout out to Emmett Smith because I know he
Yeah.
went ahead and helped you out. He was one of the biggest proponents for you and whatnot. I believe he's one of the co-owners of Jesse Iwuji Motorsports,
Yes.
which
Yep.
you love
Uh-huh.
to see it. And I'm assuming it's that Dallas connection. Hey, we love
Yeah.
Emmett Smith over here in Phoenix, baby. He was with the Cardinals for a while. We got nothing but love and
Mm.
respect for him.
Yeah.
Um, what was that like, man? Because not only are you transitioning, especially from being active duty, so you're basically a civilian that, yeah, you can drive, but it's like not everybody that can just drive that doesn't have the prior experience can just jump into a NASCAR. And then
Yeah.
also, and I don't want to linger on this too much, but as a person of color, to go ahead and see you and also, shout out to Bubba Watson. That's what's up, man. And I appreciate that. I'm Hispanic, I'm Latino, and then seeing a fellow person, a black man out there just doing his thing, massive respect, bro. And I wanted
Yeah.
to go ahead and just air that out to you. So, not to
Yeah.
linger on,
Most
I think
definitely.
that's huge. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah. No, it
I
is.
know
It
you know
is. It
how
is.
important it is for sure.
Yeah. No, it's definitely important. Don't forget Daniel Suarez too
Oh
from
yeah, shout out to my
Mexico.
boy
Like,
Daniel
yeah,
Suarez. Absolutely, I didn't mean to
yeah,
disrespect.
from
And Pato O'Rourke
Mexico.
doing his thing in Indy for sure.
There's quite a few now coming up, minorities, females, guys, you name it, coming up from all different angles, which is
Absolutely.
great to see. It's good to see the opening. So for me, getting into the NASCAR world, I came from obviously the street car world, and then for me, once I got the Corvette, I started doing road course track days versus just doing drag strip days, right?
Right.
And then once you get the bug for doing road course track days, and you're trying to get better and better and better, I noticed that every time I went to a track day, I was always usually fairly quick. I wasn't like the fastest always, but I was top three, top five fastest cars that day. And I know there's a lot of factors to it, of course. But I felt like, hey, I'm like fairly decent. If I was terrible, then I'd be like, one of the slowest, right? So since I'm
Right.
like up there, one of the fastest, I'm like, hey, it's not bad. So I'm like, why don't I try to become a pro driver? Like I was crazy enough to believe that it was possible.
The
And
confidence is
that's
crazy, dude. I love it.
yeah. I was crazy enough to believe it was possible, and then from there, I had to learn exactly what it took. And what I basically learned was in motorsports, money, experience, and being able to have business acumen. Like you put those three things together, and networking, of course, too as well. That's what's going to allow you to get into motorsports,
Mhm.
right? Obviously, you got to learn how to drive the cars, right? Now, do you have to be the best driver in the world? You don't. Does it help? Heck yeah, it helps.
Yes.
Was I going to be the best driver coming in? No, because I started so freaking late. So I knew I was going to come in with some level of skill. I wasn't going to be the best, but I was going to try my hardest not to be the worst, right? And I was going to have good days and I was going to have bad days. I'm going to finish well. I'm going to wreck. Like all that's going to happen. I just kind of knew it was going to come, whatever. Just I got a goal and dreams, go after it.
Right.
From there, I had to figure out how to find the money. It costs money to race. Whether your team is paying for it, you're paying for it, sponsors are paying for it. Someone has to pay the bill. Tires, people, transporting, that's not free in any form of motorsport at all. Don't care what anybody tells you, it's not. There isn't this world where every single team just finds a driver, pays a driver, hires a driver. The teams don't make enough money to make that financially actually work. Some
Right.
teams have enough money to do that. The reason why is because their owner also owns like Walmart or something, or owns like Amazon or something crazy, like
Absolutely.
and not saying that Jeff Bezos has a NASCAR team, but like they own big businesses, right? So
Sure.
those guys can be like, you know what? I'll just hire a driver that I want, and then boom, boom, boom. But it's not a lot of those guys out there like that. So most of the teams out there, they're just struggling just to make it by. So like, hey, Jesse, like you can come run for us, but make sure you bring the money that takes to cover all these bills to make it happen. I'm like, okay, cool. I go find sponsorship. That sponsorship helps me get into a race car. My side of it is I got to market for this company, do whatever things that they need me to do so that they can get some type of return out of this investment in me going to drive. And then for me, I get to go race. So basically, putting that together between finding sponsorships, creating the money myself. If I didn't have sponsorship, I started my own business so I can make money to pay for my racing. Learning how to drive by using a simulator here at home. I have one here in the room, and I train every single day. And then networking like crazy, going to races, meeting people, going out to conferences, different business things, meeting people, making
YouTube
connections.
channels.
YouTube channels, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a big platform for me to that help me connect with other people in the business world. All these things I had to put it together in order to learn how to get into racing, and that's
Right.
what got me into racing. From there, it was just continuing to kind of rinse and repeat everything I just said to keep
Absolutely.
working my way up.
No, for sure. Well, the cool thing is, it's like, I think the key thing is people will see a guy who's serving in the military, and it's like automatically they're gonna gravitate towards that, right? Because it's like
Hmm.
that's a guy that put his life on the line for our country. Why
Yeah,
why the hell would I not want to go ahead and get behind that guy? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that is so cool, and whatnot. And then on top of that, you have the lick of talent to go ahead and actually pull something like that off. Like
yeah,
it's amazing, bro. And
yeah,
that's why I think like you're so easy to root for and so easy to rock with, and you have a great personality. Like, I've seen you on Amelia Hartford's channel a couple
yeah,
different times. I know you were one of the ones that helped her out make the decision for her R34
yeah,
was
yeah,
Ace. And then you got yours. I think actually, if you've been following your Instagram account, the
yeah,
R34 GTR plus
yep,
Jesse Iwuji, and
yep.
there's another one. Is it Redless Group?
Redless Group, V Spec Hub. I got a few channels.
My man's killing all over the place. But you were out in Japan these last
Yeah.
like few couple of weeks. Tokyo Auto Salon just
Uh,
happened and stuff like that. And I remember having sent you a DM.
mhm.
We're both Nissan guys. I didn't tell you this, but I'm a former owner of a Z32 300ZX
Yeah.
non-twin turbo. That was my first ever sports car. It was my second ever car. My mom co-signed with me. Shout out to my mom. I love you, mom. And I owned that baby for 3 years. Put 100,000 miles on it before it meant
Holy moly.
I put a lot of money, or excuse me, put a lot of miles on that, and I've been a Nissan guy for a very long time. They're in rough times right now. It's a little bit funky out
Yeah.
there in Nissan land, unfortunately. But I have to ask you. Let me ask you this because I'd love to get your opinion on it as you see the transition going on right now. Do you see yourself or do you see Honda coming in and buying them out as the right thing for them? And what can you potentially see as a fan of that brand? What do you see out of it coming as a positive for them?
Yeah. So for me, and Nissan's made some great vehicles, over the years. And then some not so great vehicles as well. I've always been a fan of the Skylines and their kind of sports cars, right? The Z's, the 300ZX, the S chassis, the S15s, S13s, yeah, some of the old school stuff too as well. I've been more of a fan of those models of cars versus a fan of the actual
Of the
brand. I wouldn't
brand.
Yeah, I wouldn't sit here and say like I'm like a Nissan fan. Like, I mean, I like them. I think they're cool, but like they're not like on my top of my list of
I'm
like
not going to buy a
brands.
Nissan Titan
Yeah.
anytime soon. I'll tell you
No,
that right
no,
now.
no.
But,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
So that's what's hurting them right now is because they haven't done great on some of these other things, and it's decisions that they've made that I mean, I see some of these cars and I'm like, dude, like this car is trash. The paint's falling off after 10, 15 years. I like my C6 Z06 where it's what, how many years old now? Getting next year will be 20 years old. There's
yeah.
no paint falling off that thing at all. The paint's not fading, nothing. And I track road course. I've dailied it at 224,000 miles, and yes, I do take care of it, but like no paint's falling off of that. My interior is completely intact, and thing's gone through everything. Like you get into like my parents have a Nissan Armada. It's a 2004 or six, maybe one or somewhere in that range. 2004. And it has like they're barely driven. It's like 70 something thousand miles. That thing is falling apart.
Ah, that's brutal, bro.
And it's just like, come on. I don't think they've made great decisions. They cheaped out on so much crap, the CVT transmissions, all that crap, and they dug their own grave. So Honda
Yeah.
does need to come in. Honda does need to come in and fix their issues, find a way to start building quality vehicles again and get it out to the hands of consumers that people can be like, oh wow, this is a great brand because they're
Right.
vehicles I can buy them and they can actually last longer than a few years.
For sure.
So I think if Honda can help fix that, that would be great. If Honda just comes in and buys them out just to buy them out so they can stay alive, but then Nissan keeps doing what they've been doing, then they're just going to keep going down. So, and then they need to come out with a new flagship sports car. The R35 GTR is a great car. But I mean, you can't hold on to one great car from 2000 freaking seven to 2025. Like that's just way too long. They should have R36
Absolutely.
should have came out 10 years ago.
I hear
So
you.
yeah, they dug their own grave and they got to find a way to dig out.
Yeah. The good thing is at least the Nissan 400, I mean, we all affectionately
The
call it the
400.
400Z, but the Z
Yeah,
and whatnot is out there. I mean, I saw a report the other day that it actually shockingly outsold the Supra in 2024, which actually
yeah.
caught me off guard completely. But I was like,
I
okay,
rarely
you
see
love to
them. That's the
see it.
crazy thing.
Yeah, I was blown away, bro. So
Mhm.
can you see the Z still holding its title in the sense of like we're gonna keep making it even if Honda comes in? I feel like there's a potential of it, but then I look at what Honda's doing. NSX is gone. They only have the CTR, which is a great car, mind you. But it's like if they couldn't make the NSX for a long time, what will Honda say? Should we or should we not cut the Z? I would hope that Honda and their motorsports division looks at that and like, no, that's a piece of their history. We need to go ahead and come in and continue to push that. Do you think that they'd be willing to do so?
I think they would. I mean, if they want Nissan to be anything, they have to. You got to have a sports car in there. They've always had one. They've always had multiple. You got to. You got to have that Z and you got to have the GTR. Do you need more? Not really. Would it be great? Yeah, it'd be
Of
great to
course.
have like an S16 come out, and then have that 400Z, have the GTR, have those three, like the ones that you lean on, and that would be amazing. And then from there,
It's the sex
um,
appeal.
yeah, exactly. And that stuff will sell as long as you put it at the right price too, as well. Like
Yeah, that's
if you like
huge.
with the 400Z, I think they came out too high of a price. That
Mm-hmm.
car needs to be a 40 grand car, not like a 50, 60 grand car. That
Yeah.
people because they start looking at that like, man, 60 grand.
Yeah.
Like I'll just go buy like a newer R35 GTR then that's used.
Yeah.
Like why would
And
I
even with
spend? Yeah,
R35s, they shot up in price for over the 15-year run to a point that we started seeing brand spanking new GTRs, man. We
120 grand.
120, 140 grand. Like, and then
Yeah,
special editions like going up to 200. I'm like, if you've got
yeah.
200 and you got to decide between an R35 and an R34 GTR, we're all going for an R34 GTR.
34.
Why? Because
Yeah.
we never had them and
Yeah,
whatnot. Of
yeah. I get
course.
an
Yeah.
R34 and get a couple other things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, the pricing, they just got to fix that. They got to get better at that. Honda with their NSX, I think the reason why that didn't last the way it did is because they didn't make it aggressive enough. Like, they did the same thing that they did years ago with the original NSX. Although the original NSX obviously is becoming even more popular now, and those prices are going up more because it's a collector kind of car or whatever
Right.
now. And still was a good car, and the new NSX is still a good car, but they made the same mistake. They decided to be way too sensible with
Mm-hmm.
it, and you got to have some type of level of it has to be definitely, it has to be a quality car that works and is reliable.
Right.
But it has to truly be a supercar. Like it has to be out there where there's something, it has to have an aggressive nature about it. Like the look looks great, but there was nothing else aggressive about it. You had this very silent six-cylinder hybrid thing going on.
Nine
There
speed
was
dual clutch.
it was just nothing aggressive about it.
Yeah.
It needs to be a car where you hop in, you're like, oh man, this is great, this is cool, and I feel like I can drive it. I feel like Superman, but also too, it needs to feel like, man, this thing can bite, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, and there wasn't any of that. They didn't do that with the first NSX, and they didn't do it with the second one. I think that's what bit them.
I hear you. Before I let you go, Jesse, because obviously we're doing a little bit of a shorter, and I appreciate your time so much, man. This
Yeah.
has been so good. You have the R34 now. You've had it for a little bit. A synopsis of your ownership of basically one of the holy grails of JDM that you have the opportunity to now call yours. How's that been for you? That's a dream come true, obviously. So I'll let you kind of like serenade us with its greatness. You know what I'm saying? Because we waited
Yeah.
25 years to get that baby.
Yeah, literally 25. I mean, the first time I ever saw the car or knew anything about it was in about 1999 or so when I had Gran
Shout out to
Turismo
Gran
2.
Turismo.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Gran Turismo 2. And I played the game a lot, and that's when I found out about the R34 GTR and a lot of other JDM cars. I was like, man, this is a cool car. And then obviously maybe 3 years later or so, whenever Too Fast, Too Furious came out, I was like, oh my gosh, here's that car again that I used to play on Gran Turismo. And then
Yeah.
around that same year, Need for Speed Underground, and then Underground 2 came out. So like between Underground, Underground 2, Too Fast, Too Furious, and Gran Turismo 2, basically about 4 or 5 years time frame where all this happened in that time.
Yep.
That's what built my passion and love for that car. And then from there, it was like, okay, how do I get this car? I looked it up and I'm like, oh, you can't bring it in right now because they're illegal to have it. And even the 25-year rule, like that wasn't like it was a thing, but like it wasn't really talked about like that. It was just you can't bring them in. That's it.
Right.
Like you can't bring them in. And then it wasn't until like a few years ago where I'm like, oh, there's actually a 25-year rule where after 25 it's going to be legal. So then when I saw that, I was like, okay, well maybe I can aim to try to buy them because back in 2018, 2018 was when I started re-looking at these again.
Right.
I was like, oh, they're 50, 60 grand or so. I was like, I'll try to get one. And then, 2020 hits, 2021, and then the price just slowly goes up and up and up. And then they go from being 50 grand or so to now they're 100 plus thousand, 120, 130, 150.
V
Now I'm
specs
thinking,
are
oh my
like
gosh.
200 G's, aren't they? That's freaking nuts, man.
It depends on what V spec you get, how clean it
Yeah.
is, how what
What
mileage you can
color it
get.
is? Yeah.
Color, yeah, a lot of the V specs you can get for 130 to 160 grand, just depending
Right.
on where you go. But yeah, some variations of them, yeah, you can get them for even more. But yeah, it got really expensive, and then for me, I was like and I bought mine in 2022. The price was still over 100 grand, but I was like, you know what? I know it's going to keep going up from here. So if I keep waiting, it could become more unobtainable. So let me just get it while I can. At that time, I had money to get it, and then I did. But then I'm happy I did then because like right now I wouldn't be able to get it
No, for
again.
sure.
So yeah. So
And is it
yeah.
here in the States now? Like, are you able to go ahead and drive it here in the States?
Yeah. So
Love it,
bought
dude.
it in Japan in 2022, experienced it in Japan. I went to Japan 7 times. I probably put like 15,000 kilometers on it while in Japan.
That's
Drove it around a
sick.
lot, went to car meets, did all the underground stuff there, ran tracks too as well, Suzuka, Fuji, and Scuba Circuit. Ran all those tracks there in Japan multiple times. And then from there, brought it here to the States in May of last year. And then I drove it around a lot here so far. I've put like 7,000 kilometers or so on it, maybe a little bit more. Actually, no, more. I put like 9,000 kilometers on it since I got it here. So, yeah, I've been driving around a lot and experienced it, tracked it a couple times now too. So, yeah, it's been good.
Living the dream, Mr. Iwuji. Living the dream. I appreciate your time so much tonight, Jesse. It's been an absolute pleasure. Short, but absolute quality. And I actually hope that we can go ahead and get you back again on the pod and have a longer format. But I can't thank you enough for going ahead and giving us a little bit of your time. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Monday night. I know that the national championship is on right now, so we'll see who wins between Ohio State and Notre Dame. I know
Yeah.
that you're a Navy guy, but that being said, man, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. All of us are rooting for you, and you're doing some incredible stuff, man. It's such an honor to get a chance to know you and see you doing your thing. So best of luck to you, and just keep doing what you're doing because we're all really proud of you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Anytime, man. Guys, that's Jesse Iwuji. Go give him a follow on all his socials. The R34 GTR, Jesse Iwuji. He's got like about 6 of them. Just look on the link in the bio and you'll find all of them and all that good stuff. My name is Jorge Aquino. You've all been listening to Tormenting Tarmac. It's the podcast where the enthusiast never dies. Good night, everybody.